What's up, guys? Welcome to this quick review roundup of all the films I've watched this year. So, I've done one of these already. You can go check that out on my channel. Let's continue it right now, though, with The Highwaymen. So, The Highwaymen, a Netflix movie starring Woody Harrelson and Kevin Costner as two old lawmen who are brought back to hunt down Bonnie and Clyde. So, I really liked this film. I thought it was really quite good. Of course, I knew the story of Bonnie and Clyde. It's so often been told from the perspective of Bonnie and Clyde. It's so often been romanticized because Bonnie and Clyde kind of became celebrities. Bizarrely, because the things that we were doing, they were going around basically just killing people for fun at times, and yet people liked them for it for some reason. So I think it was interesting for this film to go from the other perspective of the people hunting them down. And what I really liked about this film, besides the fact that it looked gorgeous, it was a really good looking movie. The sets, the locations, the costumes, all really well done. Good attention to period detail. It showed you that the people hunting them down, not necessarily good people. They were people haunted by the past. They are essentially old Wild West cowboys who are now living in like the modern world as it seems, and trying to adjust to this new life, and they just don't quite fit in anymore. So it was really good delving into Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson's characters, and of course it builds up all the way to the time when they actually get Bonnie and Clyde. So slight spoilers there, but you kind of guess that's what's going to happen. So yeah, I really like this film. I was a little surprised by it. It has gotten a bit more of a mixed reception. I'm one of the more positive reviews of this, I think. So yeah, check that out. It's on Netflix. Wild Rose. So Wild Rose, I went to an early preview screening of this, and I just didn't get a chance to do a review. So Wild Rose is about a Glaswegian country singer, just came out of prison, trying to adjust to her life again. She's got kids who've been looked after from her mother while she was in prison, but all she really wants to do is go to America and become a star. This is a really good film. It's a musical. Every now and then it does break into her just singing country and western songs. And firstly, the main performance, I believe her name is Jess Glynn. Brilliant. Really good performance from her. And you're going to see a lot more of her in the future. She's done a few things before. She's in the recent TV show Chernobyl. So keep an eye out for her. I think she's going to be something special. And the problems with this film is that it is predictable. You can't see what's going to happen. The musical elements, they're all well done, but some of the musical elements feel a bit forced in. When it does break into song, when it does break into music, it feels odd because at times it's trying to be a gritty, grounded drama, and then all of a sudden they're singing and dancing. It's just a bit bizarre. But just a couple of times. The other times it works pretty well. But Wild Rose, on the whole, I would recommend it. I believe it's been in cinemas now. It was quite a while ago when I saw it, and that was a preview screening. So I imagine it's been in cinemas, it's done and gone with, but you should check it out anyway when you get a chance. Aquaman. So Aquaman, of course, about Aquaman in the DC universe. I really enjoyed this movie. Yes, it's ridiculous. Yes, it's bonkers. There are some weird things that go on in this world. The dialogue is a little cheesy. The action's over the top. The CGI and special effects, there's way too much of it, but I think it's really well done. This is just a really fun, enjoyable superhero movie, and that's just great. That's kind of exactly what I wanted from this movie. Yes, maybe it's too long as well. I think it's like 2 to 2.5 hours long, but it's just like a roller coaster of a movie. There's elements of horror in there to mix it up a bit. There's elements of action and drama. There's a romance story in there, kind of as well. Jason Momoa looks like he's having a ball of a time in there. The villain is disappointing, played by Patrick Wilson. The performance is fine. It's just the villain is a little one note, a little stereotypical. He is just this villain who wants the power for the sake of having the power. So that's probably the biggest disappointing element of this. But like I said, the CGI special effects are amazing, I think. It's very rare that I go into a film and be wowed by special effects anymore. This film done that for me, and I'm a little surprised it didn't get much award attention when it came to that. So yeah, Aquaman, I really liked it. It's not the best DC movie ever made, that probably still goes to Wonder Woman, although I haven't seen Shazam yet. So, but it's definitely one of the most fun ones that I've seen, and one of the most fun experiences I've had watching a film in quite a while. Mary Poppins Returns. I've done a full review of this on my channel, which you can go check out, but I was disappointed by this. It felt more of like a remake than a sequel to me. The music was forgettable, but again, in Mary Poppins, the original, chances are the music's only so rememberable and so good because of repeat viewings, because it has been such an old film at this point. So maybe in years to come, the music will be a bit better in Mary Poppins Returns and a bit more memorable. But I thought Emily Blunt was great. In fact, the whole cast is pretty good. I liked that there were cameos from Dick Van Dyke and what's her name, Angela Lansbury. But yeah, this film not necessary. Hopefully they won't make another sequel, but it's perfectly fine, I suppose, if you want more Mary Poppins. But it just didn't feel like they were doing anything original or unique with this. But you can go check out my full review for my full details on that. Venom. So, Venom, I always said I didn't want to see this film unless someone got it for me or whatever, and that's what happened. I got this film as a gift. I did not like this film. It flies by, I'll give it that. It's only like 95 minutes long, and then there's like 10 minutes of credits and an end sequence, so that's a good thing. But this film, I've always been opposed to the idea of Venom without Spider-Man. It doesn't make sense, and there's no mention or acknowledgement of Spider-Man living in this universe, so yeah. Tom Hardy I thought was fine in the main role, but everyone else wasn't. Michelle Williams was okay in her role, but she was just kind of there for most of the film. She is a little stereotypical in places, not a lot to do for her character. Then there was Riz Ahmed as the villain. Really one note, really stereotypical villain. Riz Ahmed deserved a lot better than that. And the problem with this film, the big problem, is that the CGI is just not very good. When the only way you can convey your main character, Venom, is through CGI. You need that CGI to be good. And it just never was. It constantly looked like a cartoon. It constantly, because it's meant to be like a gooey, like tar, liquidy, inky substance, it's hard to get that right. And they just didn't do it for me. It just looked too shiny at times and too fake. And of course, it falls into the typical superhero fare towards the end of the movie. It's just a big CGI battle. There's also the issue of that Venom. Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? I'm not that familiar with his standalone comic books, but from my Spider-Man knowledge, he's a bad guy. So to make him a good guy, it just doesn't quite work. And he doesn't work really well as an anti-hero because they've got to soften the edges a bit and make him more likable and more heroic than what I would like to see from Venom. But there is potential there in the future. It was a huge success for some reason. I have a feeling a lot of people are confused by this film. I have a feeling that a lot of people think this is part of the MCU when it isn't. So I think that might have something to do with the success. There's also the fact that Tom Hardy was starring in it. A lot of people go see that film just because he's in it. So yeah, I didn't like Venom. Avengers Endgame. Again, I review this for my channel. You can go check out the full review there. I recommend you do that. I'm not going to say too much about this, but it was great. I love this film. And as the culmination of the MCU, it brought in lots of arcs and characters from past MCU movies. It brought everything together really nicely. Big, huge, epic battles and action scenes. Lots of emotion in there. It felt really earned, and yeah, that's about all I'm going to say about Avengers Endgame. You should see my full review for more, but I really liked it. The Wandering Earth. So The Wandering Earth is one of the most successful films of last year in China, and it is a Chinese movie. It's a science fiction movie about basically global warming has affected the Earth. They're now moving the Earth. Yeah, they're trying to move the Earth from one place to another, and the whole science fiction element of it is hard to grasp because it is like, right, you've just got to kind of accept it and move on. It's a little silly. It's really cheesy. The characters are silly and cheesy as well. There's lots of really bad dialogue in there. Maybe some of it was lost in translation. I don't know. But considering the whole storyline was supposed to be serious and then everyone else just looks like they're in a comedy, it's a little bizarre. The sets, the costumes, the whole look of the film I think is great. The CGI is really hit and miss though. Some of it looks gorgeous, some of it looks terrible. It looks like some of it was also filmed at different frame rates and different animation styles and so on. It just doesn't always fit into the film very well. But this is a somewhat enjoyable movie. If you like science fiction, if you want to see a Chinese take on science fiction, I do recommend it for that. It's on Netflix and I believe almost everywhere. So I do recommend you check it out. It is just a cheesy, fun science fiction movie, but it won't be for everyone. Booksmart. Again, you can check out my full review on my channel. Booksmart is a good coming of age comedy movie, and the comedy doesn't always hit it right in the top marks, but when it really does, it's really funny. There are some hilarious moments in this movie, and the characters are incredibly likable and relatable. They feel real. There's it does a good job of capturing high school life and the cliques that they're all in and the groups that you all have. It feels very realistic and believable. And essentially, the story is about two high school girls who, upon graduation, they realize they've kind of wasted their high school years when they should have been having a bit more fun and enjoying their life. They've been spent focusing so much on their studies. So now, night of the graduation, they're going to party and have fun. And that's when it all unravels from there. There's, again, some hilarious moments in there. Billy Lord's in there. She's hilarious. The two leads are really funny as well. I do recommend this film. You should check it out. The Favourite, again, check out my full review on my channel. I was a little disappointed by this. I thought the tone and the mood was a little off for me. It felt like they were trying to be serious at one time and then they were trying to be farcical at another. It was really odd, I thought. But the lead performances, Emma Stone was brilliant in there, so was Olivia Colman. Rachel Weisz was good. The sets, the costumes were brilliant. This is essentially Queen Anne has her favourite, and the two people are vying for to be her favourite and to get her favour and all the bonuses that come with that. And yeah, tonally it was just a little off. I'm not sure. Yeah, disappointed by that film. Check out my full review. Mary Queen of Scots. So Mary Queen of Scots, Saoirse Ronan is the titular Queen of Scots. Margot Robbie is Queen Elizabeth. And essentially this is trying to be a historical drama. Problem is, it's not very accurate. And yeah, I didn't like this film. This film was just boring. It's at one time it was trying to be a romance, at one time it was trying to be a serious like historical war film almost, but it just was really slow. Nothing really was happening for like the first hour. They were constantly just like, here's one side, here's another. They're constantly just talking about what the other people are doing. Yeah, I did not like this film. It was slow, it was boring, not very accurate as well. So if you're wanting something to be educational and historical, this is not the film for you. But the actual, again, I seem to say this a lot, but the costumes were great. The makeup was great. They've done a really good job of making Margot Robbie look the way she did. The fact that they've gave her a bad complexion, bad skin, different hair and costumes. I think that she's got a prosthetic nose on there as well. Really well done that way on. And the performances, the acting was great as well. The fact that Margot Robbie, of course, is Australian, Saoirse Ronan is Irish. Neither of them are actually playing the nationalities that they're supposed to be, but they do a good job of being those characters and bringing them characters to life. Deadwood the Movie. So I was hesitant to class this as a movie, more as a TV show. But big fan of Deadwood. Deadwood was my favourite TV show of all time. It was cancelled after 3 seasons though, so it never got the finale and closure that it deserved. Deadwood the Movie, 13 years later, 13 long years later, it's here. We finally get a finale, and it was brilliant. This is probably one of the best finales to a TV show I have ever seen. I'm hesitant to say it was damn near perfect. It's almost exactly what I wanted. It gave all the characters some moment in there. It gave us enough closure to say, right, this character's gone and done that, this character's gone and done that, and so on. Really emotional in places. Not going to go into spoilers at all here because I don't want to ruin it. But one of the best final lines of a TV show or a movie I've ever seen or heard. Really well thought out lines. It's got that David Milch dialogue in there. David Milch, the creator of the show, very Shakespearean, and honestly, it's just great to have Deadwood back. This is probably the only Deadwood movie we're going to get. I don't think we're going to get more. And to be honest, I don't really want more. I've got the closure I wanted now. I'm happy with what's happened with Deadwood. And yeah, the wait was worth it. This was a brilliant movie. And if you're a fan of Deadwood, you should check out this movie. Definitely. If you haven't seen Deadwood, shame on you. You need to go see Deadwood. It's brilliant. Always Be My Maybe. This is a rom-com starring Ali Wong and the other guy whose name I'm forgetting right now. But they are essentially, it's a rom-com. You know exactly what's going to happen in this movie. It's about a couple who, they grow up together. They are good friends. They then take it to the next level. And that's when things start to fall apart a little. They separate ways. And then later in life, they get back together. Things work out and so on. You know the story here, basically. But what I really liked about this film is the way in which it has a lot of social commentary. It feels relevant. It feels important. The fact that it is showing you different cultures and it's not just a typical rom-com starring two classic white people. So I thought that was really well done. As a comedy, it's a little on the disappointing side. That's not to say that it's bad. There are some really funny moments in there. I think Keanu Reeves, who pops up in this movie, is really funny. It harkens back to the days when Keanu Reeves did comedies. He doesn't really do that anymore. And although they should have kept the Keanu Reeves thing a secret, I think that would have been a really good moment, but it's in the trailers and everything, so that's why I'm talking about it. Ali Wong, Ali Wong here in the UK isn't a huge name. I know she's a big comedian in America, but here she hasn't quite kicked off quite as much. I haven't seen her acting in anything. This is the first time I saw her acting, and she's good. I liked her a lot in this film. The other guy that she's acting with, Randall Park, I think his name is, now that I remember it, I think that's what he's called. He's good. They are very funny together. They've got a lot of chemistry, and yeah, really likable lead characters. The story is predictable. You can't see everything coming, but it is a typical rom-com in many ways. But again, the ways in which it changes things slightly, it's a bit like Crazy Rich Asians in that it's showing you different people, different backgrounds and cultures, and that's what makes it so different. That's what makes it so special and unique. And I do recommend this movie. It's on Netflix. Final movie for today, Stan and Ollie. So this is about Laurel and Hardy and their final days as a comedy duo. So Laurel and Hardy, I kind of grew up watching these. I'm a big fan of them. So for me watching this, there was a lot of, it was really quite emotional because there was a lot of stuff here that I did not know about them. There was a lot of stuff here that was like, oh my god, this actually happened. And in many ways, it's harking back to the good old days of Laurel and Hardy, but it's also saying, hey, good things don't always last. Sometimes you gotta just accept the changes and move on. It gets its message out there pretty well. Steve Coogan is brilliant in the role of Stan Laurel, and John C. Reilly is okay as Oliver Hardy. So the reason Steve Coogan manages to capture that character really well, because after all, it's well known now that Stan was the comedy genius behind that. He's the one that came up with all the jokes. He's the one that came up with all the funny things. So Steve Coogan kind of looks the part, kind of sounds the part, does a great job, and it's believable that he would do that. John C. Reilly, though, constantly, the fact that he's got so much prosthetics and makeup on, the prosthetics and makeup are good, but it does limit his performance slightly. There's also the fact that at many times it feels like he's doing an impression rather than a performance. It doesn't always feel like he's become that character. It feels like he's impersonating that character at times. It's not to say his performance is bad, exactly. It's just not quite the level that I would have liked it to be. But again, this is a good film. There are comedic moments in there. If you're a fan of Laurel and Hardy, you do need to check it out. It's emotional because this is their final days as a comedy duo. And yeah, a pretty decent film. Not a best biopic by any means, but a good one. So that's all I've seen this year so far. You can go check out my other video that I done earlier in the year, where there of course are a lot more films that I saw this year. You can also subscribe to my channel, I'd really appreciate that. Give me a thumbs up and leave a comment and feedback down below. Let me know what you thought of all the things I've just talked about. And of course go on to Twitter and Instagram, follow me at _Grant Burton. But until next time, thanks for watching.